Hello, hello. Welcome back. Looks like we are live. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram, maybe on Facebook. We're not sure today. We're welcoming in our VIPs into the room. Hello, Rochelle, Trisha, Nelly. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Woohoo! Hi, Instagram. Those hopping on as well. All right. Okay, Tori, let me know once you see people popping on live so that we can get started and move into today's fun topics. All right. Yes, we're live right now. Hello. Good to see you. All right. Hi. Hola. Hello, YouTube land loud and clear. Fabulous. All right, let's hop in. So, welcome back to day two of 500K in 3 hours a day live training, the energetic and strategic steps to increasing your income, impact, and freedom. We're on day two. If you have not watched day one, that's okay. Stay here and then watch the replay because each day is compounding. Yesterday, we talked about increasing your capacity to receive success, to receive money, clients, joy, freedom, all of that. You've got to have the capacity to actually have what it is that you want to create in your business. Today, we're talking all about intuition and natural rhythm because no one is meant to work 40 hours a week. And I am giving you my insider details because I don't keep secrets. I am pretty loud about exactly what it is I do to sustain a seven-figure business and a life of freedom. So we're going to be talking about that natural rhythm and how to use intuition for decisive decision making today. Because as a CEO and a leader of a business, it is really important to be able to make quick, decisive decisions without processing, right? Once you're in the swing of business, you're not processing for 4 days, one decision, right? And the best way to do this is to tune in to your own internal compass. And we're going to go all over that. And then tomorrow is strategy, baby. We are going to talk all things strategy, which is great because I've had lots of questions about free gifts and lead generation, and I'm going to solve some of your problems tomorrow with those questions. Um, Quick overview of who I am as I see that Moraine McDonald here. Hi, my first day. Fabulous. Jen, hello. Lily, welcome back. Hi. So for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to go as in depth today because we did that on the first day, and you can catch that in the replay of my story. But for any newbies, I am an intuitive business consultant. My entrepreneurial journey started over a decade ago when I became a single mom with no college education and unfortunately a record from having been sex trafficked in my late teens. So I was unemployable and in dire need of being able to generate my own income. And that sort of pressure, in a good way, right? That sort of good pressure that, oh, I get to figure something out, figure something else out here, and this innate ability to be so intuitive put me on the path of entrepreneurship. And I have since then built 4 businesses in 3 different industries. 2 of them have been according to my intuitive wealth system, which was born from the first 2 businesses that I was not all that joyful in because I was so tired and so exhausted and working all the time and in burnout. And my last 2 businesses have been truly heart-centered and in alignment with my natural rhythm as a woman, as a mother. And so now I get to support passionate, spiritually aware, heart-centered entrepreneurs in growing their businesses with simple strategies, energetic alignment, and intuition. That is all that has been required for me to have what it is that I now get to lead and experience each and every day. I want to touch in around yesterday's homework, which was worst case scenario. I got dozens of responses. I'm still moving my way through them. And what is always amazing is that there is inevitably a theme with a training group of people, like a group of people in the training or within a pod. And a lot of the worst case scenarios that I got to see and best case scenarios, very, very similar, right? They have a similar, they have a similar aroma to them. And so I'm going to touch on some of these. One of which was one of which was just that I am really afraid that I can't do this, and I've got kiddos that depend on me, right? And so while I love being able to share testimonials and case studies of clients and myself that have fabulous financial wins, there is a true reality to being a provider. I'm the sole provider of a family of seven, and I also have my team in my business. And so I have begun early on, and I would love for those that can relate to this, because there was quite a few, to really hear these pieces, is the some of the energetic work that we're doing here, and it can go so much deeper than even this, is about shifting into interfacing with reality versus worst case scenario stories, right? And so I started shifting my idea of responsibility to being one of privilege, right? It is not my responsibility to just take care of these five kids and a large growing team, an ever-growing team. It's my privilege. And guess what? You don't get to that without being able to handle it. You just don't. You have the capacity for what is being presented. And so my invitation is to interface with reality now. You are probably supporting your children. You're probably supporting your family. You're probably meeting all of those needs. And when we stay in the story that it is too heavy or it's too responsible or it's too scary, we miss the gift in the privilege, right? In the privilege that, wow, all of these years of cultivating myself and my business, I can now sustain an entire family and an entire business in about 3 hours a day doing something I absolutely love. And so as we start shifting from worst case to best case, they are both in the field. And now that we've neutralized worst case, you can begin focusing on the best case scenario, because it is just as likely to happen, except for if you prepare and then you implement what you have prepared, it's even more likely to happen. So, and one last piece about this is early on, as I was shifting that responsibility frequency into privilege, I also chose that I would never allow my children to carry the burdens of my unlived dreams. They do not get to be my excuse. And I will not burden them with the fact that I didn't follow my dreams because I was their mom. And so I have shifted them from carrying the burden of I can't go do and live my life because I have to take care of you, to they're my inspiration, right? They're my inspiration. And like I shared yesterday, they have a totally different trajectory to their life now, because I could change those perceptions. I could choose one that served me. And so now we're going to go into more of that in the VIP room later, but Burton, let's jump into today's. If you did your homework, put it in the chat. Let me hear you. I did it. I did my worst case scenario. I did my homework, right? If you did it, just put it in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or you're on Instagram or you're here in the VIP room. If you did it, put it. Did it. Did it. Awesome. You bet. Did it. Love it. Great. Yep. Did it. Fabulous. Okay, the other part of your homework was to book your implementation call. And I got a lot more worst case scenarios than I saw people booking their implementation calls. So allow this piece to be a reflection, right? A reflection for yourself, because the implementation is what creates results, not the information, not the inspiration gotten from information, but the implementation of what is being taught here today in this room. So Tori, if you'll please drop the implementation call. If you did not book your implementation call, do that now. It can simply be a minor reflection of how I start things, but I don't go all the way through. So pattern interrupt, just pattern interrupt, and get the implementation plan or implementation call, because once these 3 days are over, you're going to have information. You're going to have inspiration. So make sure you also have an action plan, right? Yay, Rhonda. Oh, hello, Rhonda. Hi. Yay, awesome, Melissa. Did it. Woohoo, fabulous. Yes, okay, great. So today, as we begin talking about how to align with your natural rhythm and use your intuition for decisive decisions in your business, and there is a universal fear that I see often, and I think it's because it's pretty universal, it's in our survival mechanism, that we want to do it on our own, right? We just want to do everything on our own. And I wholeheartedly support anyone that wants to do it their way, right? And I think it's really important to pull back the curtains and let you know I didn't do it on my own. I didn't do it on my own. I used a loan from my grandmother when I was a single mom. I later used credit. I have had a coach almost always, except for 1 year. My husband, I retired my husband, and he takes care of our home and our children. So I don't do it all. And I think it's really important that we're raw, real, and honest about that. That I am not just like this amazing, like miracle worker, right? I have accessed a lot of support. And the reason why I access a lot of support is because I have the ability to receive, right? So my ability to receive help and support reflects my ability to receive overflow, to receive success, to receive soulmate clients, to receive a life of freedom, right? And that was one of those energetic pieces that had to be dissolved and integrated. It had to be dissolved and integrated. Now, that doesn't mean oftentimes my husband could not hold the same vision that I had. He just he just couldn't. He's retired law enforcement, very logical guy, super grounded, practical across the board. And he just couldn't hold the same vision that I could. And if you're here with a really big vision and other people aren't jumping up and down for it, that's because they're not entrepreneurs. They're just not. They are built for safety. And entrepreneurship is not all about safety. However, when we begin bringing in things like intuition and natural rhythm, you are creating the greatest safety there is, which is working according to nature, right? You're working according to nature. So my invitation is to release those from having to hold your same vision to receive their support, right? My husband has been so supportive, even if he couldn't hold the vision. And even when he thought maybe I was making irrational, decisions, which by the way, they were. They were. I do not live my life rationally or logically, and I definitely don't lead my business that way. That's also why I have irrational and illogical results, and so do my clients. Some of the fun stories that we're going to hear is they're mind blowing. They're mind blowing, and that's because we aren't living according to the rational. Right? The rational was conditioned into us. And so it actually isn't safer than following your intuition and leading a business and just going all in. Speaking of natural rhythm, One of the strong contributing factors to my part-time hours is working according to my natural rhythm because no one is meant to work 40 hours a week. And if you have been to any of my trainings before, I'm like that is just what do they call my Roman Empire? Like we were not built or born to spend that many hours disconnected from self, away from family, away from our own spiritual connection. And it is probably one of the most insidious programs that there are. You have to trade your time and your life for a paycheck. And so when I began tuning in to what my natural rhythm was, because in my first two businesses, while I was self-employed, I was leading my own business, I was, I just replicated a 9 to 5, right? But now I was just the boss of it. But I replicated the 9 to 5. And after that dark night of the soul, after my second business, I only had 3 hours a day and I was learning about natural rhythm, right? I was really tuning in to my natural rhythm, to the intuitive downloads that were awakening within me. And natural rhythm is one of those pillars. And so my natural rhythm, now, your natural rhythm will change throughout your life. My natural rhythm with 5 kids is a little different than if I did not have 5 kids, right? Maybe a lot different. And so your natural rhythm will move with the seasons of your life. My rhythm now looks different than when we had newborn twins, right? It does move as your life evolves. But what mine looks like now is I have slow mornings. My self-care is top priority first thing in the morning. And this is the part that would probably be a little bit different if I didn't have young kids, but I am part of the 5 a.m. club, not because it's cool, but because that is where I'm able to pour into myself, because my self-care is what propels the rest of this life, of this family, and of this business. So my mornings start slow with self-care, and then we do family breakfast. I make a homemade breakfast. I'm not much of a chef, and I'm done by the end of the day. So we do family meals in the morning. And then I see everyone off to school. My husband takes the kids to their respective Montessori's and whatnot. And I have about an hour and a half in there as I ground into my day. I'm looking over what there is for the week, for the day ahead. I definitely take a walk. And then my work day starts from about 10 and goes until 1 to 2, Monday through Thursday. Okay. Friday is a free day. Oftentimes I'm doing a significant amount of creativity there, right? A significant amount of creativity on Fridays. My fulfillment, which is where I'm pouring into my clients, I'm showing up, I'm teaching, that's Tuesday through Thursday. So notice that I'm showing you there is a rhythm in my work, but then there's also a rhythm in my whole life. And this took me some years, maybe, a good 12 to 18 months to understand my natural rhythm, to decondition from the 9 to 5 that most of my day should be spent in hustle and grind and that cortisol and I need to be doing something or else I'm not productive. Right? Like there was a significant amount of time of deconditioning from that. And one of my most favorite tools is it's in my, Tori, will you get that up? The Easeful Weekly Schedule for the CEO Scaling to 7 Figures. That's something I'm going to drop in here. It is complimentary. You can grab it. It's just one of the things that's coming with this training because it has potent information that I don't want to teach live because there's other potent information. Intuitive Wealth System is extensive, right? Like it's a system that I support my clients through over 12 months. And so I don't want to hit on every single one, or we're not going to be able to go deep. So the natural rhythm is, like I said, one of the strongest contributing factors to how I have been able to generate millions of dollars in part-time hours. Okay, so grab it. Within there, it's going to walk you through how to start your scheduling. And this brings me into the importance of structure in your life and in your business. Okay, and it takes us to the masculine and feminine harmonics in business. Now, sometimes I refer to those as strategy and energy, or strategic and intuitive steps, right? And bringing those two together is the delicious marriage that allows for full-time income and part-time hours. So go ahead and get your Easeful weekly schedule, the complimentary gift. It's in the comments. Fill it out and start living according to it. Right. So I just heard from one of my clients and she just had a baby 5 months ago. He is precious. And I'm like, take him off of the screen because it makes me want another baby. And, she's like, I'm like, I know that this is what I should do, but I'm feeling overwhelmed. Now, she is in a season of life that I wouldn't actually recommend going deep with this, but she could refer back to it. Oh, yeah, these are the times that I'm present for work. And when I am not working, I am done. Done. And that is a super important piece. When you are with your family and your kids, be in the full presence of that, right? And this is something I am often working on. Like my husband gets to remind me, Scott gets to remind me, like, hey babe, it's kids home now. Hey, maybe you're gonna not look at your phone again. Right? So I used what is in there, and he's very aware of it, so we can support each other. Accountability beyond self, right? Accountability beyond self. Um, so grab that there, and let's talk about the masculine and the feminine within your business. The masculine is the structure. It's going to be the strategy. It's going to be your schedule, right? It's going to be the what, when, and where of what you are doing. And the feminine is going to be the creativity, the intuition, the vision, the flow of it moving from one into the next activity, right? The forward visioning, as well as holding the space and the morale and the frequency as you move through your schedule or your container. Now, the masculine has really been demonized the last few years, and my invitation is to bring a little bit of that back in. The masculine structure in your business is as necessary as the feminine flow. To ignore or dishonor one is, or the other, whichever one it might be, is to discount 50% of your magic. 50% of your magic. Now, this was a learned skill for me. It was a learned skill for me. I am not a highly organized person. I'm not a type A person. And that's why I created the Easeful weekly schedule for myself, because I could be like, I know that that's what's on the agenda today, but I actually want to do this. And then I want to do this, and then I want to do that. And I'm not sticking with the thing that's going to move the needle forward because I have so much of that feminine and intuitive nature that I could be in creation all the time. And sometimes we get to ground in with the implementation. Okay. And so just opening the heart to both aspects of you, the feminine that is, it's why you're here. Women are natural born leaders. Like we give life. Of course we give business. Right? We make life. Of course we make success, right? Like it is innate in us. And also go ahead and access that grounded, structured masculine aspect within as well. How is this landing for everyone? I know I'm moving quickly here, but I want to hit on everything. How is this landing? Let me get a drink. Energy Den says, thank you for all the gifts. Oh, my pleasure. Happy Lion Center. I filled out the form, but the page doesn't go anywhere after I click the button. Check your check your email. It might just come through anyway, and Tori will definitely support you with that. Okay, great. Okay, so we are opening up to accessing both our masculine structure and our feminine flow. And now I want to move into when you have your natural rhythm happening, you are not resisting your masculine or your feminine, so you're open to both. Then every intuitive download that you have already has the foundation to take it and run, right? Sometimes we have an intuitive inkling and we know like that's what we're meant to do, but we don't quite have the foundation. Where am I going to fit that in my schedule, right? How am I going to stay committed and accountable to that? And so when we have some of these foundations, we are open and available for success. We are working with masculine and feminine energy. We are attuning to our natural rhythm. Now we can use our intuition very rapidly. You can always use it, right? But these sorts of things allow you to use it rapidly. And intuition is so important in business. I mean, this is for sure the hill I'll die on because there's so many business containers out there that just don't touch on it. I literally read something the other day, this person teaching on business that said, we never trust our intuition over the numbers. And I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, that must be so confining, right? Must be so confining because numbers are very logical and they don't have much expansion. That would be someone who is fully enveloped in the masculine and they don't trust their feminine flow and their intuition, right? Now, intuition, whether we like it or not, it is the most reliable source because it has a 100% accuracy. 100% accuracy. Intuition is the language of source, whatever you might call that, right? Of source energy, of divinity, of your higher self. Intuition is the language. And that higher self source consciousness has a bird's eye view, right? It sees all things, past, present, or future. If you subscribe to time, which in the world we all do, right? It has the full vision, past, present, future. What is in your highest good? Now, logic is a fabulous servant, right? Logic is a fabulous employee. Logic is a fabulous co-creator. It is not a fabulous decision maker, and it is not a fabulous futurizer. No, because our logic is only picking up from the past, what it has experienced. So, however old you are, that's how old your logic is. Okay. Intuition is coming from source consciousness, which is infinite and eternal. So, if I'm going to be consulting with any sort of force, I'm actually not going to leave it to my logic that is 36 years old and has a lot of proof of pain and things that haven't worked out. It also has a lot of proof of pleasure and things that have worked out, right? But typically, human nature is to look at what hasn't. And so my logic, and yours too, is not near as reliable as your intuition. Okay. And this is why it is my biggest gift and my greatest purpose to teach the power of intuition in your business. It is so much more reliable. And so if we know that logic is only pulling from the history, right? It's only pulling from the history. And who knows what your history might be, right? It might be a really hard history. I have some of those. So if we know that logic is pulling from the past. And we know that intuition is all knowing. So intuition wins out of that one, but we also have nervous system. And oftentimes people will assure me that they're very clear that something is their intuition and they're actually in a nervous system dysregulation. nervous system dysregulation can look a lot like a little bit like panic, but if it's more refined, it can look like rigidity, it can look closed, or it can look frantic, right? Next thing, next thing, next thing. And when our nervous system is regulated, it is a very good source of information. Not to the extent of intuition, but still a very good resource. However, most people are in some sort of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn functionally, which means you don't pick up on it, right? Has anyone ever known a functioning alcoholic? If you don't see them drink, you almost don't know that they're alcoholics. And so just because you aren't having a moment of panic or frozen in that moment doesn't actually mean that the nervous system is regulated to a degree that it feels ultra safe to make the greatest future decisions. Now, over the years, like yesterday I shared, business has been my greatest personal and spiritual development tool. And so over the years, I've been able to heal my own nervous system. My first two businesses, I was in fight a lot. A lot I was. That's why I worked 12 hours a day, right? I was in the hustler. I was in the hustler. I was in fight. I was in flight often. I couldn't relax. And so over the years, I've been able to heal my nervous system, come into regulation, but I didn't wait to build my business. Again, because I had a family to support. And when I was building these businesses, I was a single mom. And so know that it doesn't have to be linear. Actually, my business fed me the opportunities to heal my nervous system, right? Literally, my intuition, and I co-create with my business, fed me the intuitive wealth system. It fed me the easeful weekly schedule, right? My logic just kept saying, go harder, Megan, do more, push harder, go harder, longer, faster, right? And the intuition was calling me in. It was calling me in. Now, intuition, is this going good for everyone? Can you think of a time where you thought maybe this was intuitive, but it might have been a moment of dysregulation, right? People will go, I'm really afraid to, hire this VA or be seen on camera. And so they think that they're getting an intuitive inkling to not do it. Okay. So intuition comes through in a few ways. Now, I'm pretty sure my messaging is 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 good. I can tell by the people that are in the room, the back and forth conversations, the homework, that spiritually aware people are here, right? And so we are just going to cover very briefly some ways in which intuition shows up for me and other people, but it will also show up for you in your own unique way. But simple yes and no's. Yes, for me, always feels like sunshine. It feels like sunshine and a lightness and airiness, joy, summer, spring, yellow, sunshine, right? Like those are the ways that it might be in my mind's eye. It might be just the sensation or the frequency. No often feels a little heavy, gray, dark, kind of like a boulder or a dark cloud. Um, Now it's not emotional, okay? This is actually not emotional. My light went out. Let me just push this real quick. I have no idea why that happened. It's not emotional, right? It isn't, oh my God, I'm so scared. Or yes, I am happy. Intuition is not an emotion. It's an instantaneous knowing. Constricting, yep, okay, great. Yeah, constricting, again, not an emotion. It's a sensation, right? So just noticing that if you're feeling emotionally charged, that isn't intuition. Now, emotion can accompany intuition, right? Like when I know something's for me, then I also feel excited. I get an intuitive inkling, and then of course my emotion follows and I get really excited, right? Now, here are the pieces that was really coming to me today to share based on reading some of the emails that I've received and just getting the pulse on the room of how spiritually aware everyone is that intuition will also show in two polarizing ways. Okay. Um, oh my goodness. This screen over here sent me balloons because I did too. It will show in two polarizing ways. One will be inspiration. It will be inspiration. And the other will be resistance. Resistance and inspiration, they are two polarizing forces, okay? But it's more of like a sphere. So inspiration can actually run into resistance and resistance into inspiration. But those are two very telltale signs that you are receiving intuitive knowledge, is that you either feel resistant to it or inspired by it. Okay. And oftentimes, what I see in the spiritual community is the idea that intuition only feels easy and light. And that just isn't true. Something that we talked about in the VIP portion yesterday, which is really relevant to this piece, is that life and business will always mirror nature because it is nature. We are nature. And so anything we create, like our business, is also nature. And so intuition may sometimes feel like resistance or pressure or friction. In childbirth, we have pressure before we get our sweet baby, right? Like an immense amount of pressure. And we don't go, I'm never having a baby again because pressure. I can't stand the pressure. No, we just know that that's part of it. And we're so excited to hold our sweet baby and we're so excited to raise them. And pressure is required. When we look at the oak tree, the seed is buried. What does the seed need in order to grow the oak tree? It needs resistance. Okay, it needs resistance. In order to start fire, high energy requires friction. And so just because we are aware of our intuitive nature doesn't mean that we cut out the other pieces of nature, like the pressure, friction, and resistance. So I'm curious, with all of this, what are you resisting? Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, I have a couple of clients. They hate when I ask them this because they know that's where we're going. That's where we're going. There's two things that I always do. I follow my inspiration instantaneously. I do not wait for permission from my husband, from my mother, from God, nothing. If there is inspiration, I follow my inspiration instantly. If there is resistance, I lean into the resistance instantly. The sooner the better, right? Otherwise, I'll begin to mental masturbate on the resistance. Well, if it was meant for me, it would be easy. If it was meant for me, there wouldn't be resistance. Instead, because I have the awareness and the practice, I go, resistance, that means it's meant for me. Resistance, that means it's meant for me. As you guys are typing in here, share what your resistance is right now. Share what your resistance is. Okay. Sadie and Erica, they came in after a year of making no money. They had a good year of a couple 100,000, and then in 2023, no money at all. Of course, they were living their worst case scenario and they weren't working according to their natural rhythm or using their intuition because they had gotten into such destabilized emotional states, right? Like, oh my God, how can this happen? Now we can't trust and da 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 da. And we really started looking at what they were resisting the most. These were the two. They're like a duo. And they didn't really like when I would ask, what are you resisting today? Where's the resistance here? Let's play with that, because the resistance always was telling them where to go. They just felt uncomfortable with it, but that didn't mean that it wasn't for them. And so we practice this over and over again. And within 10 months, less than a year, they made $400,000. They did not use social media or anything like that. We just learned to lean into the resistance. Now, most people have a difficult time doing that on their own, and I'm one of them, and so were they, right? So it's not about just that they didn't care. It was just a blind spot for them. Okay, Happy Lion says completely spot on. Feeling resistance and knowing you just need to do it from the intuitive knowing, not the mind. Yes. Visibility, 100% Moraine. Oh my goodness, how many people resist being visible? That's the thing that is required for their breakthrough. I'm resisting more hard work that goes nowhere. Hey, so Lily, I would invite you to actually reframe this and get more specific, right? Because this is, I'm resisting more hard work that goes nowhere. Be more specific on the thing that you're resisting. Okay. Emails and reconnection messages. Okay, there you go. It has lifted some, but it isn't completely gone. Yes, in my resistance, again, it doesn't suddenly shift to orgasmic pleasure. Like it just doesn't, right? Eventually, I love to see the results that come of that though, without a doubt. I resist not having a more stable source of income. That's not quite it. What is the thing that you're resisting, right? Like the next step that intuitively you know. I'm going to keep reading because it might be there. I don't allow myself to put all my time and faith in my own business. Okay, so there it is. That's what it is. I take contract positions that I'm not passionate about, but feel safe. All right, so those are the pieces that you're really resisting, probably because you fear that you won't have stable income. And that is what stops people often, because you're going into the mind, I can't do this thing. So for you is I can't stop taking these contracted positions because I won't be able to support someone in the future, right? I won't be able to support myself or my family in the future. My goodness, I could do that all day long. Me too. Truly, I could do that all day long. And that is where any business owner gets to be a risk taker. And if there's anyone that you're going to bet on, I highly recommend it be yourself. Because right now you're actually betting on these contract positions. They are better at providing for myself than Source, or they are better at providing for myself than me, right? And so there's a handing to the outside world your power. And that's actually exactly why we're here, is to decondition some of these things. Because to be supported by Source is the safest thing there is. And part of that support is to have the foundational pieces in place, like a natural rhythm, like a schedule, so you know exactly what you're doing to make sure that you follow through with those humanly obligations, right? Those humanly obligations. And so my sense here is that there's a trust in them versus self. And the best way to learn trust in self is to depend on yourself, right? Is to really fully depend on yourself. Lily says disappointment. Okay, great, great. I want to feel into where I want to go with this because I'm looking at my notes and I'm going, I don't think that's the thing yet. So as we play with this idea that resistance and inspiration, so you've gotten really clear on some of your resistance, what is also your inspiration? Okay, put one of both. If support and excavating what you're resisting and how to actually apply that would be helpful, then I encourage you to have your implementation call. That's where you can go deep, 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 right? Especially for those that are on Instagram and those that are on YouTube. Implementation call is available to you too. So if there's like, how is this resistance actually keeping me? How is this my intuition? How is it keeping me from realizing what I truly want? That's where we can deeply excavate on a tailored personal level, right? A tailored personal level happens in the implementation. So, what else might you be inspired to do? I think you'll notice that with inspiration and with resistance, you will have a very clear to do, right? And the reason why we resist is because we don't want to do that thing, but we know it's good for us. I think of like going to the gym or eating really healthy. Like I'm ashamed to say, but I love Starbucks. I love eating out. I'm like an Uber Eats fan. We actually have a fund for Uber Eats. We're like a big Uber Eats family, right? And so knowing that eating healthy and staying in the gym, I resist that and do it, right? Do I skip to the gym? No. But do I go? Yes. Yes, I do. So we can apply these very natural ways of being to our business. Happy Lion said, emails are resistance. Inspiration is connecting genuinely. Right, exactly. Because oftentimes our resistance and our intuition, they are our resistance and our inspiration, they're the best of friends. They are a power couple. And if you did both of those, if you connected genuinely in your emails, you're going to see a difference. You're going to see a massive difference, right? I'm looking at these here. Okay. Sorry, guys, my chat box is clogged up. So when we pair the resistance and the inspiration, you actually know exactly what to do next. Some people shared that their very next thing to do was to create a free lead magnet, right? A free lead magnet, because a lot of you are very clear that your next step is to generate an email list, get an email list, build your community and your audience. A lot of the emails asked about lead generation and a free gift, that being the way in which they're going to build their email. So if there is resistance to having a freebie, make one, right? You want to make one. But two, I think it is important for you to know that that is not the main thing that's going to build your email list. Okay, because when you have a complimentary gift, which is what I gave you here, right? When you have that, do people opt in? Yes, that's not why I gave this to you to have you opt in, because you're already opted in, right? You're already in my email. I already have communication with you, but it was just the quickest way for me to give this to you. But that is the idea when you have a lead magnet, is that it is so yummy and delicious that people want to stay in contact with you, are happy to input their email to receive the free gift and hear more correspondence. Unfortunately, most people learn that's all you have to do. But if you have a free gift, and I want you to self-inquiry this, where am I going to put the free gift for people to get? And then once you self-inquire, put it in the chat. Where are you going to put it? Right? Because you want a minimum hundreds of people on your email list. I was making six figures at about 350 people. And once I got into the thousands within my email, small thousands, like two, three, I was making $500,000 a year, right? And I made $1 million. I got into the million frame at about 4,000 to 5,000 on the email list. Now, there are people on social media that have 100, 200,000 followers and they don't make six figures. That's because email is queen. It's king, but queen in my world, right? So please respond because I know so many of you are going, my next step is a lead magnet, but where will you put that lead magnet? Will it go on social media? If it goes on social media, who's seeing it on social media? Your followers. Your followers are seeing it. So if you don't have a robust social media, then probably your friends and family are seeing your freebie, right? And this is so not your fault. I don't understand why it's not talked about more and why people give that as a strategy. If you're going to have a lead magnet, you need to be able to make sure that that lead magnet is seen by people outside your circle, right? So my lead magnets very rarely go to my own community because they're already in my community. They probably have them. And so when you, yes, have a lead magnet, but don't think that that's what's going to build the email list. If there's resistance, who knows? Maybe you are about to be invited to be a speaker someplace. That's where you would take your complimentary gift, right? It could be there. It could be in other people's community, given that you ask their permission. There is a certain amount of joint venturing that happens there, not to the degree that would actually build your email list to generate 500K in 3 hours a day. Maybe 100K in 3 hours a day if you were very, very, very diligent about it. Melissa says, love this conversation. Totally resonates and makes sense. Yay, yay, yay. Oh, I am so happy to hear that. It's so much information. So even if you just take a golden nugget, that's good. That's golden, right? Another beautiful example of my own moments of following intuition when it looked like it went wrong, right? Because sometimes people will say, well, I followed my intuition and it didn't pan out. Now we could take the intuition and that can go in so many different directions. It is always 100% exactly what you need. But oftentimes, some of those became wounds that then held the wisdom that I needed for my biggest breakthroughs for wealth. And I remember being in a couple coaching communities in my day, and I am a huge fan of coaching, not just because I'm in the industry, but because it has ultimately and truly changed my life. My husband and I work with our relationship coach for 4.5 years at this point, or 4 years. So, and they've changed our lives, right? Like we have such a healthy, loving, caring, supportive relationship, the way we co-parent our kiddos, right? It just matters. So I am a huge fan of the industry. And believe me, I have had an experience before where I'm like, oh my gosh, that was $60,000 and I didn't get anything. Oh, right? And I was totally the victim to it momentarily until I could go in and do the practices, a lot of what we have talked about here. And actually, what I learned in that time for $60,000 was how I did not want to lead my business, how I did not want to show up for my clients or treat them in a particular way. How I did not want to lead my team and build a culture and morale in the way that was being taught there. It was a massive gift. But if I stayed in the, I am never doing that again because that was a lot of money and I didn't get what I wanted, I got more than what I wanted. I mean, I got a massive redirect. Like, oh, it is very important to me that my clients are seen. Seen. I went a whole year and that particular person didn't even know what I did, no matter how many times I reminded. Right? And I'm like, ooh, I know that this is what I want for my clients. I know that now this is how I want to lead my team in a way that is connected and collaborative and aligns with the values of conscious, right? Conscious creation. and it was a $60,000 lesson, and I clearly wouldn't have gotten it for anything less. Right? And so this is a really, really beautiful example of how I lead myself and my business every single day, that my interpretation matters. Life is happening for me, not to me. Every intuitive decision was for my greatest good. Now I've got to adjust my perception and my interpretation, and then boom, I take right off. Peggy, you are lovely. This is just what I needed today. Fabulous. Oh man, I've done a lot of that. Oh, I get it. Oh, I so get it. Yeah. And I do think that it is very important to find mentorship and collaborative guidance from someone that you feel holds codes that align with your values. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be best friends. That doesn't mean you have to believe in everything together, but what they are living is what they are, or what they are teaching is not necessarily always what they're living. And what they are living, I promise, will be what is mostly delivered to you, right? Like that will be what you absorb. And so that really, really matters as you are following your intuition here. One, it can't be wrong. Two, find the gift in it. It's all a gift, right? And three, choosing your interpretation it's a power move. It is a power move. Okay, so Tori, please drop one more time. Yay, Moraine booked her implementation call. Fabulous. And Melissa, good, good, good. If you will drop one more time the easeful schedule for anyone who wasn't here, you probably don't have to worry about it in the VIP room because it's still in the thread. But make sure that everyone gets the easeful weekly schedule as well as the implementation call link. Your homework today is to get clear on what your easeful weekly schedule looks like. Get clear on what you are resisting and what you are inspired to do. Because tomorrow we're talking strategy, right? So we're going to be in the action of the things we resist and are inspired to do. And then lastly, booking your implementation call. And we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Feel free to share homework. Know that we have about 260 people registered. So even those that are watching the replay, feel free to send that in and just give me some time to get back to everyone. Okay, every single one of them is going to be read by me, and so yeah, just some ease and grace there. Okay, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now. See you Instagram. Bye YouTube.